All right, and of course, your conversation all about wellness and why it is important for all of us, not only the women or the men, and even the children as well, to just make sure that we check our mental wellness to make sure that we are okay. And of course, we also want to understand why it is very, very important for all of us to do so. And joining us for that discussion is Damaris Ndira, who is Director and Chief Consultant at Go Beyond. Thank you very much for making time for us this morning. You look lovely.
Thank you.
It's like with the same color scheme, right?
So
You got
much.
the memo. How are you this morning?
I'm very fine.
All
and
right.
quite excited.
Quite
to be
excited.
here.
Yes, and of course, it's a very important conversation that we're about to have, really, as far as mental wellness, and of course your project, and that is Walk and Talk. Very interesting. I'd love to know more about the same, but before that, let's just get to understand Damaris Ndira. And of course, your field is actually, you are a marketing professional, right? But here you are championing about mental wellness. How did you get there?
Well, let me start by saying that I have a background in biomedical sciences that I did as my undergraduate. And then that, of course, saw me go into my first job as a quality assurance professional at GlaxoSmithKline, and quickly turned around and went into banking. I worked for Barclays Bank, now ABSA.
Yeah.
Both at operations and customer service front, and then moved into aviation, where I have done a lot of customer relations, loyalty management, product development, brand management, and then decided to take an early retirement and focus on Go Beyond. So this explains why marketing, having done 360 degrees marketing and PR management, which includes brand management, creating visibility and awareness of brands, and having the background of health sciences, I then come out really strongly as a social and behavior change marketer, right? So I founded Go Beyond Limited in 2013 as a side hustle, and you can imagine what it is to work, you know, for an organization, a multinational organization, and at the same time try to grow your business. So COVID came, and I thought that was the best opportunity for me to take a leap and delve into my business. So that business is a consultancy and service provision firm. Go Beyond is a consultancy and service provision firm that does capacity building and value chain management. And then we also do brand communications, PR, and marketing. Now, under capacity building, we have been privileged to do a project with the World Bank, funded by the World Bank under the National Agricultural and Rural Inclusive Growth Project in 6 sub-counties in Homa Bay County. And brand communications, PR, and marketing, we have done a lot of branding for corporates and some state agencies. We are big in events management, and we also create marketing strategies from conceptualization to execution. Yeah, so fast forward, why Walk and Talk?
Walk and Talk,
So Walk and Talk is a collaborative networking platform curated by us that offers you know, a base for us to focus on wellness and well-being. So at Go Beyond, this is our social initiative. It is our corporate social initiative. And one of our core focuses on mental wellness. So we say physical fitness for mental resilience. So we have come up with the formula that for somebody or for people to have the right mental status, and whereby mental resilience means that you have the ability to cope with a crisis and bounce back to your pre-crisis status emotionally and psychologically. That means that you have the cognitive ability and you're able to exhibit the behaviors that regulate your actions towards the right status mentally and psychologically. So Walk and Talk offers us the platform where we walk, right?
Get some physical exercise.
And we talk. You know, we talk about, we talk for, we talk with. you know, everything in the course of mental wellness.
Okay.
So women are our big target audience.
All right.
But that is not to say that
The men are locked out.
are locked out. Actually, in our last walk on Sunday, we had a really good turnout of men.
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
And this walk is supposed to be an annual walk. We did one last year in May during the maternal month of May, and we were saying walk and talk for women mental resilience.
Okay.
This year, again, we were saying physical fitness for mental resilience. We look forward to bringing more stakeholders on board so that we can have this as an annual activity that seeks to create awareness and bring many stakeholders on board so that we can be able to solve the mental crisis that is currently in the country.
Exactly. And for a very long time, mental health has been ignored. Right?
Certainly.
And a lot of the times you'd find that people associate mental wellness or mental health to people who've gone crazy. And sometimes people will just say those words, right? But forgetting that deep inside, we have a lot of people who are struggling with mental health illnesses, some disorders. But then again, again, the whole aspect or the whole subject of mental health has just been, you know, watered down. So we really don't understand the impact that it has. So for you, you're very passionate, you know, about mental wellness. And of course, that is why Walk and Talk. So someone might be like, do you have like a personal experience with the same? Do you know maybe someone who has gone through the same, you know, that brought up or fired up this passion that you have?
Definitely. Let me start by saying that none of us has no experience with
we all do.
Mental wellness
Absolutely.
issues.
Absolutely.
All of us at some point have gone through some form of anxiety, fear, some form of mild depression, or even a severe one.
True.
And a lot of times that is the one area of health that rarely goes attended to, right? It is very unlikely to go to your boss and say, I'm not in the right mental status, so I'm not able to work today. A lot of times you'd want to say, I went to the dentist, I'm seeing my optician, you know, but the truth really is that there's a big boulder behind or below the tip of the iceberg that we are seeing. So I would say that personally, of course, I have gone through, you know, that ups and downs and highs and lows of you know, a mental situation in terms of fear, anxiety, stress, okay? But also on a larger magnitude, we have gone through situations where I personally have gone through a situation where close family persons have gone through mental stress, mental depression, and even death.
True.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Yeah. And the repercussions of that is economic, it is social, it is also a trigger for, you know, more mental crisis among the remaining members of the family and the society.
You're right.
And gaps are left that cannot easily be filled. The impact is so great.
It really is. It really is. And like you rightly put, almost all of us have gone through, you know, the same, whether mild or severe, or we know someone who's gone through the same. And I would ask, and especially when it comes to issues of stress and anxiety, sometimes we struggle with what's normal and what's not in terms of, especially for the word stress. We're like, yeah, me, I'm stressed today, or me, I'm just feeling stressed, me, I'm just feeling fatigued, I am a little bit anxious about this or that, right? So then where do you draw the line in terms of, well, this is okay, but this really needs to be attended to, or you need to talk to someone?
Yeah, let me say that the mental wellness or the mental balance comes in some form of a triangle.
Right.
There's the cognitive aspect of it, there's the behavior aspect of it, and then there's the environment. Okay? Now, cognitively, these are like having the self-optimism, being able to self-regulate and know when should I stop, when should I start, when should I continue. I'm in an abusive relationship, and even having the consciousness to realize that you are in one, because a lot of times you could be in an abusive relationship, but you really do not you know, come to
No.
terms that, and
Yes.
say this is a
Not
toxic
right.
relationship.
Yes.
And by that, I don't only mean marriage relationships. It could be a work relationship. It could be a normal friendship that is toxic, or even any other relationship, you know, in the normal walk of life.
Yeah.
And having the cognitive ability to regulate yourself and know when you are in the red zone, when you should stop, and when you should seek, you know, help.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody or walk away.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Then the environment also offers an aspect of either, you know, some level of support. Okay? Are you in an environment that can help you out? Are you in an environment that encourages or aggravates the situation?
Okay.
And then there are the behaviors. Now, these three things are interlinked.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
So the behaviors are the activities that then we now take part in, either as a result of what we are going through or for us to cope. And walking is one of the behaviors, I would call it, if you could inculcate it as a mini habit, such that it is the one thing you do subconsciously. And by walking, I don't only mean walking, but I'm saying be as innovative and as sustainable as possible in your physical exercises, right? You don't have to go to a facility where you have to pay, like a gym,
Yes.
for you to be fit physically.
No.
And by the way, research has it that physical fitness has a lot of impact on
mental,
cognitive behavior.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on sharpening your mental ability, which is why we say for you to maintain a good level of mental status, you need to walk and you need to talk.
Yeah.
Because then the talking is the other behavior that you also need to know how to do. Are you talking to the right people?
Okay.
Are you talking with people? Okay. Who are you talking to? Are you talking about it even?
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Are you able to talk?
And this is where we have like the biggest problem among so many people, the talking part, because there's a lot of trust. Because you see, you are at your vulnerable state, and the person that you want to talk to, you have to somewhat trust them a little bit, because a lot of people, and we've had a lot of discussions about mental health and talking to someone, and a lot of people would write in and say, I can't talk to anyone because number one, I'm being judged, or number two, stigmatized, or number three, people call me weak for going through what I'm going through. So instead of facing all those things which aggravate the situation, how about let me just keep it to myself, right? So when it comes to the talking part, how, right? Who do you talk to? What do you even say? Yeah.
Yeah, let me even bring it to the workplace. I believe that I'm an employer myself.
Yes.
I have been employed. And one of my experiences, having worked now at Go Beyond fully, dealing with people that come in either on contractual basis or on some kind of long or midterm, I have realized that the one responsibility that employers need to do or to take is to create some form of a psychological safety
True.
that allows people to freely express themselves, okay?
Okay.
And be able to converse and have honest conversations.
And not fear that they will lose their jobs.
Exactly.
Because that is also another factor.
The same thing should be at the family level.
Okay.
Okay. If we don't have a psychological safety net that assures the members of the family that they are safe to have honest conversations about what they think, then we are not going to handle issues of the cognitive behaviors. People will feel unsafe and somebody would not be able to talk about
True.
what they are
Absolutely.
going through.
Yeah.
So talking has a lot to do with, it goes back to the environment. Do you feel safe? Okay. And have we also created an environment that leads people to the right places? What is the role of the media in letting us know the available
options, yes.
resources, facilities, and people who are on call even at no cost?
Yeah.
You know, do we have contact centers? How many times do you take it up as a corporate social initiative to just share information about the places where people can go for mental wellness, you know. So these are some of the things that we have to talk about.
Yeah.
And the result is that people need to have the ability to come together and have honest conversations about mental issues.
Yeah.
Because as it is right now, there's a lot of stigma.
Yes.
Yes, there's a lot of stigma. It's getting better that we can have this conversation here
In the
and now
open, yes.
means that there's a lot that is in the offing. However, we need to all join into this, you know, rally and call people to action to make conversations about mental wellness really normal.
Yeah.
And even
Normalize it.
beautiful
Absolutely,
to have.
absolutely. Yeah. And also when it comes to the men, because I know you talked about an aspect of walk and talk. Last year was mostly geared to or directed towards women, but most of the time we hear a lot of cases, and especially attempted suicide, and even going through with it amongst the men. Yes, the numbers are higher on the women, but then again, when it comes to more people who are actually either dying from mental, you know, health illnesses, conditions, are mostly the men. And this is because men don't talk, right?
Their coping
A lot
ability.
Of men. Exactly.
Yeah, and sometimes once somebody asked me, why is it that people who are able financially and are in positions where they can make change of whatever situation they are in are the ones who give up and, you know, commit suicide and do all that. But it depends. It also goes back to your coping mechanisms. And it goes back to the family. Because it's in the family that we raise people, people who are able to have that self regulation, personal effectiveness, to know how to manage yourself and to know how to, you know, deal with the crises that present themselves, you know, each day. So, well, about men and women, we may need to go deeper into research on why they are not able to openly talk about their issues. But yeah, it's true. Women talk more.
Yeah.
We can say 5,000 words.
Oh, yes.
Before a man does say even 1,000.
Absolutely.
So that has an aspect to do with talking. But I also want us to emphasize on the aspect of walking.
Yes.
Because walking is one thing that is soon becoming rare. You know, we are quick to jump onto your car and move from point A to point B.
Yes.
And rarely do we even plan our day around creating some lead time to walk. You know, from one place to another. We take lifts from the floor to the next.
Yes.
You know, so if we could just promote the aspect of walking and make it normal. During COVID, people started walking and it looked a bit strange that people were walking a lot.
In the morning,
you know,
in the evening, you'd find a lot of people.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, it's like the numbers are declining slowly, you know, day by day.
Because people are back to work.
Yeah.
And so can we say you can go to work,
but
come back and walk. And then the responsibility also comes in to our government and the metropolis, because they need to create environments, the environment I talked about, that allow people to walk. Do we even have sidewalk lanes in certain areas? No.
No.
So it becomes risky to walk. So that triangle needs to be taken care of by each person.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, so then walk and talk. Again, like you said, you want this to be an annual thing. It's not like a one-time thing and then forget about it. See, we have walked, we're good to go, right? You want to make this an annual thing. Why do you think this is very, very important?
This is very important because, as I said, it being a collaborative networking platform, it allows us to encourage people in between the last and the next walk. We are able to talk about activities that somebody is able to do. We even right now are already working towards the World Mental Health Day that is coming on 10th of October.
October, yes.
All right? And should the World Mental Health Day be one day like what I saw on Kidney,
World Kidney Day, yes,
about
which
Kidney
was
Day,
yesterday.
when we just talk about it in one day and keep quiet and leave people to their own devices to sort themselves out. You've looked at the kids who've been abandoned
left,
at
which is quite sad.
centers. We are saying that you need to be as innovative as possible on maintaining some level of working or rather physical fitness throughout the year. And then that culminates into that big walk where everyone now comes to just say, look, I'm part of this. I believe in this. And for you to do a 15-kilometer walk in 1 hour, it means you're fit. For you to be fit, you need to practice. That means that we are calling upon people to walk
make this
every
a daily
day.
thing. Yes.
Okay? Make it a daily thing. Walk and talk every day. Talk about the issues. Do not let them to pile up and then seek for counseling.
Okay.
But then deal with them as they come. Walk, you know, on a daily basis. And then the last, you know, the last big walk is that one that now brings together
everyone,
all the stakeholders, people from all walks of life, coming to say that we are part of this. We are promoting mental wellness. This is the way to go.
Okay.
And probably in the next few years, we are looking at having proceeds that come out of that, really channeled to some tangible projects that
is really good.
are dealing directly with mental issues.
I like that because majority of the times you'd find that access to treatment, I would say, whether therapy or some people would also require medication, it's very expensive.
Of
It
course.
really is expensive, especially when it comes to therapy, where you're being charged per session. I've seen some psychologists or even counselors charge, or even therapists charge between 9,000 to, you know, all the way 15, 20,000. So of course, not so many people can afford to go through this. So walk and talk. Now let's talk about then the systems and structures. I know, of course, we have a mental health task force, which again was formulated just to make sure that, you know, we handle those things, get the data and see where the gaps are so that we can address all this once and for all. Because at some point the president also, you know, was actually told to declare this, you know, a national disaster, right? So when it comes to the systems, where would you say we are at as a country, and what more needs to be done to make sure that so many people out there can just sit and talk about their mental well-being?
Yeah, I have seen a lot of improvement,
Absolutely.
especially from the health sector. And if I'm allowed to mention, Chiromo Hospital Group is doing a great job.
Amazing job, yeah.
They have done a number of talking activities that have drawn people to come and just, you know, have the conversations. And even those who are, you know, personally going through situations to come up and say, this is what I've gone through, and this is the help I got, and this is how I'm coping. And other than that, as Walk and Talk from Go Beyond, we also work with an organization called CBT Kenya. CBT is Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. It's a group of doctors who are looking at mental wellness of people, because as it is, we are not the subject matter experts. I said we do capacity building and value chain management, okay? And because we are also being big in brand communication and service provision, this being our corporate social initiative, we need to bring in a partner that is able to focus on now the execution bit. If you came to us and said, yes, I have been walking and talking and I need somebody specific to talk to, then we are able to connect you, all right? So CBT Kenya joined us in our last walk, and we are saying that they also sit at the Chiromo Hospital Group hospital, building. And we are saying you don't have to deal with those specific people. You can seek the help from whoever that is nearest to you. All right? We just have this responsibility of creating some social and behavioral change, which is why we are calling people to take their personal responsibility and make it a mini habit, okay? And okay, back to structures and systems. I believe that the government is even trying to put this as part of the curriculum in schools.
Yes.
Whereby children are going to take lessons, teachers are going to be trained on how to take care of students, pupils, how to, you know, identify a child or a student who is going through some deeper level of mental health issues, and even how to ensure that they themselves are able to cope with their daily work. Now, this is going to have a tremendous snowball effect in the long run.
That is
because
good.
if you want to change the nation, you start with the children.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and at the corporate level of things, I know that the government is also trying to make this as part of the appraisal system, where if you go for your appraisal, whether quarterly, monthly, or annual, then at some point you will need to do some checks on how have you coped mentally, all right? And I want to propose that even on a 360-degree sphere of things, it is important for people to start giving those feedback, creating feedback loops, or have some form of visual management indicators that people can, you know, use to just denote where they are mentally when you come to work.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So if today I come and mark red, then you know that something is happening.
Yes.
Am I able to speak about it? I could also put an indication, all right? If I don't want to speak about it, I could also put an indication. And then the system has that, you know, loop that allows people to express themselves verbally or in any other form of language, but just to have honest conversations about mental wellness.
Yeah. And even among the children, because again, we've seen, and especially in the media, where, I mean, a child is reported to have died by suicide, right?
Sadly.
And then the sad part is that then the community is like, but when in total, what is it that is stressing you to that point of, you know, thinking about, first of all, suicide, and even going through with the same and dying by the same? So when it comes to then the children, at what point or what age would you say is important to just introduce such conversations as far as mental well-being really is concerned?
I'm a mother of 3.
Okay.
16, 13, and now 7.
Right.
And I would say that as long as a child is able to communicate, we need to be very, very conscious of their mental wellness. Okay. All right? And communication in this case to me is, it could be body language, all right? Even if not verbal yet. Right? And for as long as a child is able to speak, then we also need to take cues from the language that the child is using. Okay. Because a lot of times there's even stress from academic workload.
Yeah, and especially now that they're heading, and especially for the candidates who are heading into the not elections, national examinations, KCPE, of course, you know, done, KCSE again, you know, so some of them, they have like a lot of anxiety, you know, in association to the examinations, and the parents is like, no, si ulikuwa shule hizi miaka zote, you need to have performed very well.
Yeah. So we sometimes put a lot of pressure. All right, and fail to pick the indicators that show that a child is stressed. I think we also need to create time with your child. If you have more than one child, it's also important to have just time alone with each.
Oh, yes.
At some point. Yeah. Because sometimes we forget and handle them as a group.
All at one, yes.
All the time.
Yes.
And now, being that we are corporate people, time is of the essence all the time, and we assume that they should understand. Whereas sometimes they really don't, right? So we need to be able to give attention to the behaviors and to the language and to the indicators that the child is exhibiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone was actually saying children talk. It's just us who do not listen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. And someone also told me, speak so your children can listen. And listen so your children can speak.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah.
So sometimes we speak, but we don't have that connection. Emotional connection is a very important thing because some of us express ourselves in different ways. Others talk as much as I do. Others don't really talk, but they communicate.
Absolutely.
All right?
Yeah.
So are you, as a parent, in a situation where you're able to communicate with your child, have that emotional connection, and know when things are not good, and have open conversations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Children also, I think, need to have access to a lot of physical activities, facilities. Right now, they have closed school.
Yes.
It's gonna be a whole 8 to 9 weeks.
7 weeks.
Are they going to stay in the house all through?
Yeah.
So while at school, they had the academic pressure. While at home,
don't subject them to too much
there's
pressure
a
as well.
totally different type of pressure.
Yeah.
So sometimes as a community, we need to also come up and look for activities that children can do.
Yeah.
Let the children go out. A place like the Jaffrey Sports Club that gave us, was our sponsor for the location, for free, is an environment where you can take your child and they go around and walk on the tracks.
Okay.
There's a child bay where they can, you know, have the swings and interact with other children.
Yeah.
And
or even around the estate, right? Because some might be like, yeah, but we might not be able to take our children there.
Of course.
Right.
So I'm saying, look for the nearest facility. It could just be a school field. Go and play football, okay? Encourage the children to go out of the house and indulge in activities that are physical, that are going to promote the wellness. Remember, every time you exercise, there are the endorphins that get released, and that chemical, you know, surge of those endorphins make you to feel good. And that is the right status that you want to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Exactly.
You know?
And if you can't access outside, just do it indoors.
Okay.
But inculcate some form of physical activity.
Movement. Yes.
Other than the talking. Yeah. So those two things, walk and talk.
I like that. But then again, when it comes to coping, we also addressed earlier on and said, yes, there's some people who have healthy coping mechanisms, but there's some people who actually divert more towards the unhealthy coping mechanisms. Because again, they say it's easier and it helps me forget a little bit, you know, of what I'm going through. And then maybe I'll come back, deal with it, maybe not. So what is then the impact of, and especially long-term impact, as far as then diverting towards the unhealthy coping mechanisms?
I know we need to, I know we need to talk about seeking counsel.
Yes.
Seek counseling and some form of therapy. By the way, we all need to go through therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody said a true lady needs to always seek therapy.
Yeah.
That therapy allows you to contain yourself and be able to manage through the difficult, you know, things that come through the day. All right. Now, back to the behaviors that sometimes we indulge in. Remember, your subconscious mind is a very powerful thing.
It really is, yes.
And how do you build it? You build it over time through the activities that you indulge in, okay? That is why sometimes most of us wake up and the first thing you do, either you go to the bathroom or you reach out for your phone.
Oh, yes.
Or
The
you go
phone
and
mostly.
meditate.
The phone mostly.
Is it a good habit?
Yeah.
Do it continuously for 27 days and it becomes a behavior.
It really does.
How do you unlearn? Okay? So the right thing to do mostly is to create mini habits, small behaviors that then get into your subconscious that you automatically go to every time you have that time.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
So if you are in a position to indulge in an activity that is good and is healthy, then it could substitute that bad and toxic behavior like drinking.
Yes.
All right? I know when it comes to abuse of drugs and alcoholism, it's a difficult thing.
It really
I
is,
have
yeah.
tried to manage it within the family and it is one of the most difficult diseases to handle, both by the person going through it and even by the entire family.
It has, yes, on the
and
family.
the larger community.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it leaves people in chaos. Everyone blaming the other for what is happening, okay? But for those who are still not in that red zone, okay, where you don't have to go to a rehab, try to introduce healthy activities. Hang around the right people, okay, that allow you to get involved in the activities that are healthy. Very soon it becomes the behavior. It is in your subconscious, and it is what you definitely go to when you have that time.
Every time, yes.
About managing alcoholism and drug dependence and addictions, it is something that people need to just seek help for. Yeah, they say that you can't be helped until you're ready,
yes,
or willing.
Yeah,
we have therapy centers, we have rehabilitation centers. Some of them are so expensive, as you said, and that is where we go back to the systems and structures that are placed by the government.
Yeah.
If most even corporates would create facilities, would take this up as a corporate social initiative, okay, and pull the weight and create facilities that allow people to go for therapy, then we shall soon be having myriad spots where guys can get help. And it will not be as expensive as it is right now.
Yeah. Okay. And then as far as, because like I said, there's a lot of stigma associated with the same. This person really needs help, but then again, sometimes the society doesn't know how to. So the easiest thing to do, it's either blame or stigmatize. So when it comes to then the right kind of support for someone who either struggling with, you know, mental illnesses, doesn't know what to do, and of course does not want to talk as well, because like we said earlier on, it can be very, it's like a murky area. Do I trust you enough to talk to you? Do I not? Do I take a walk? Does it help? Does it not? But like you said, a bit of physical exercise will actually go a long way. So for the society, in terms of offering the right support, because a lot of the times, and especially those ones who are struggling with alcohol because they're trying to deal with some pain or whatever it is that they're going through, the society will be like, you can't just stop. See, watch it too, you know? So we tend to stigmatize this person so much. So that kind of right support from the society. How do you handle such cases?
Yeah, well, I don't think I have all the answers to that, but I really encourage people to be careful on the initial stages of things. Yeah,
the approach
I
as
said mental resilience is the ability to cope with a crisis psychologically and mentally
as
and be able to get back to your pre-crisis situation as fast as possible.
All right.
So it's kind of like developing some form of a thermostat within you that gives you the ability to know, I'm overworking myself. I need to stop.
Okay.
I'm becoming a workaholic, if not an alcoholic. I need to talk about this with somebody. If we can have those self-regulatory systems and balances and checks within us, which we need to start inculcating as young as possible. So parents have a big deal here. Teachers have a lot of work here to do, to make sure that as young as a child is, they're able to know when the workload is becoming too much,
they can be
and they can't cope, and even how to cope when the exam is causing a lot of fear and creating some headaches, and they need to relax. Okay, so I would say watch out for those initial indications. Okay, take a walk and talk about them.
I'd love that. And of course, as we bring this to a close, because we need to take a break, as far as then making sure that you really take care of yourself as far as your mental well-being is concerned, because it not only affects you or impacts you, but impacts even the people around you. If you're not okay, the people around you will not be okay. If you are okay, then chances are everybody around you will be okay, because you're able to take care of one another. So when it comes to that personal initiative, to just make sure that, you know what, I am okay mentally, what would you say in like 45 seconds?
Check in. Every day, create some time to check in before you check out.
True.
Okay? create time to think and talk to yourself. Yeah. Don't pack your day too much. Create time to think and check in, all right? And have some form of assessment.
Yeah.
Every day, in fact, even thrice a day, right? I have so many of my friends. I'm a single mother, having been widowed at the age of 30,
Sorry.
all right? Because of some of the impacts that we have talked about.
Yeah.
And managing work and home and self and the community,
Yes.
and all the pressures that come with life,
Yeah.
and we are as ambitious as we can be,
Yes.
it can be a daunting
challenging,
task. So
yes.
sometimes you may need, if it means going into the bathroom and locking yourself up for 2 minutes
Do it.
to just breathe
Yeah.
and have a self-check,
Do
do
it.
it.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Do a lot of check-ins with yourself. Damaris, Dira,
And as I
director.
finish,
Okay, in
you
like
also
30
need
seconds.
to have a community of people. I have a whole community of my friends, the
Yeah.
women and men who you can talk to and, you know, come together and have fun.
Okay.
Right?
Walk
And
talk.
talk.
Love that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Damaris, Dira, director and chief consultant at Go Beyond. We say thank you very much for coming by. And of course, just having this very important conversation, like we said, that we need to have over and over and over again, not only a one-day thing, but something that we need to make it as a daily habit. So thank you. And of course, thank you very much as well for sticking with us. We're taking a break. But of course, when we come back, we'd also want to understand, so what exactly makes a great leader? You do not want to miss that part of the conversation. Stay with us. This is your world.